6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Rumesh Pires. First, the headlines. The US ambassador reaffirms commitment to Sri Lanka in finding a solution to the economic crisis. The Lanka IOC is to distribute fuel today. Little Gas reveals it has procured LP gas sufficient to supply the country's gas requirement for the next 4 months. Bus fares will be increased by 22% with effect from today. Flights from Palali Airport begins. The People's Bank celebrates its 61st anniversary today. In news overseas, China's President Xi arrives in Hong Kong for handover anniversary. In sports, it's cricket. Sri Lanka and Indian women's teams will play their first ODI of the 3-match series today in Pallekele. Now the local news in detail. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chang has said to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa that she will also assist Sri Lanka in finding a solution to the economic crisis. This was stated by Ambassador Julie Chang at a meeting with the President at the President's house in Fort. A high-level diplomatic delegation from the United States stated that they will support the strengthening of relations with the International Monetary Fund. US President Joe Biden has also taken steps to provide humanitarian assistance on several occasions. The President thanked US President Joe Biden for his support to Sri Lanka with the International Monetary Fund and humanitarian assistance. US Ambassador Julie Chang had told the President that she was aware of the current situation facing Sri Lanka and hoped that the country would recover soon. Fuel tankers registered with Lanka IOC have been directed to report to work from today as the company plans island-wide fuel distribution to its filling stations. Speaking on the matter, the Secretary of Ceylon Petroleum Private Tankers Owners Association, Shanta Silva, said all fuel tankers registered with the Indian oil subsidiary in Sri Lanka on a contract basis to join the distribution process from today. Meanwhile, the government has decided to purchase 7,500 metric tons of diesel from Lanka IOC in order to maintain the uninterrupted functioning of essential services. It is reported that the government has already settled the payment for this diesel consignment. Moreover, the government requests the public not to congregate at fuel stations as fuel will be issued to essential services till the 10th of this month. Little Gas says that it has procured 100,000 metric tons of LP gas, which will be enough to supply the country its gas requirements for the next 4 months. The total consignment cost of the 100,000 metric tons of LP gas is $90 million, and the World Bank has provided funding of $70 million, while the remaining $20 million has been provided by Litro. The company said 70% of the consignment will be provided to domestic consumers. The remaining 30% will be provided for commercial use. An initial consignment of 33,000 tons of LPG procured by Litro at a cost of $20 million will reach Sri Lanka by the first week of July. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the National Transport Commission has given permission to increase bus fares by 22% with effect from today. Accordingly, the minimum bus fares has been increased to 40 rupees from 32 rupees. The annual bus fare revision takes effect on July 1st, and the price increase has been made accordingly. Director General of the NTC, Dr. Nilan Miranda, said the fare revision has been made following the recent fuel hike. Minister of Aviation Services, Nimal Siripala de Silva, says daily commercial flights between newly opened Jaffna International Airport and Chennai and Trichy airports in India commences today. An Indian-operated airline, the Alliance Air, a sister subsidiary of Air India, will operate 7 flights to Jaffna International Airport and returns per week. In addition, a locally owned airline has also scheduled flights 3 times a week from Jaffna to airports located in South India. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatma.
Moving on to the main news story, People's Bank celebrates its 61st anniversary today. Instrumental in introducing the concept of banking to the general public in Sri Lanka, People's Bank has continued with the responsibility by providing digital banking services even to the most rural areas in the country. People's Bank was established with the aim of uplifting the cooperative business and rural banking system. The founder of the bank was then Minister of Trade and Food, Cooperatives and Shipping, T.B. Ilangaratne, under the leadership of then Prime Minister Sirimavu Bandaranaike. Vincent Subasinghe was a pioneer in providing banking services to the cooperative sector, was the first chairman of the People's Bank. Currently, People's Bank is one of Sri Lanka's largest financial institutions, boasting over 3 trillion rupees in assets. The bank also possesses a network of over 268 self-banking units operating 24/7 in all 365 days of the year and employs over 8,000 staff members. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, the Motor Traffic Department offices in Narahampita and Verahara will be closed for the public today as well due to the prevailing fuel crisis. People can obtain more information by calling 0707 677 877 for inquiries related to vehicle registration and transfers as well as on working days from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. After work hours, information can be obtained through WhatsApp, Viber and SMS messages through 0707 677 877. And that came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news is coming up. First, the headlines of the world news. China's President Xi arrives in Hong Kong for handover anniversary. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sworn in as Philippines President. DR Congo buries tooth of independence hero Patrice Lumumba. Now the world news in detail. Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in Hong Kong to mark 25 years since the former British colony returned to Beijing's rule. It is his first visit outside mainland China since the start of the pandemic nearly 2.5 years ago. He said Hong Kong had risen from the ashes after a series of challenges. China took control over the territory after pro-democracy protests in 2019 and 20 and has been accused by critics of crushing Hong Kong's freedoms. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been sworn in as the Philippines President in a ceremony in Manila, succeeding the outgoing leader Rodrigo Duterte. His inauguration marks a stunning comeback for the Marcos political dynasty, which was ousted after a popular revolt in 1986. Mr. Marcos Jr., nicknamed Bong Bong, won an election landslide last month. Sara Duterte, the daughter of the outgoing president, is being sworn in as the vice president. The gold-crowned tooth of Democratic Republic of Congo independence hero Patrice Lumumba has been buried more than 60 years after he was assassinated. It is the only part of his body that exists after his remains were dissolved in acid. The Belgian policeman who oversaw the disposal took the tooth as a trophy. It was returned to the family last week and has toured several parts of DR Congo in a coffin. Back to the headlines of the world news. China's President Xi arrives in Hong Kong for handover anniversary. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sworn in as Philippines President. And DR Congo buries tooth of independence hero Patrice Lumumba. And that concludes world news. Moving on to development news, the Immigration and Immigration Department will expand the one-day service of issuing passports from three more districts. This service will commence in the Mathura, Kandy and Bawunia districts from next Monday. The department said the above measures was taken on the instructions of Investment Promotion Minister Damika Pereira. And that came to you in development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
Moving on to sports, it's cricket. Sri Lanka women and India's women's teams will play their first ODI of the 3-match series today at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium. Head coach Hashan Tilakaratne says after winning the final T20 against India at Dambulla, Sri Lankan lasses came to this ODI series with more confidence. Today is the third day of the opening test against Australia in Galle. Australia were 313 for 8 wickets at stumps of the second day and lead by 101 runs. Sri Lanka were all out for 212 in their first innings. In other cricket news, Jos Buttler has been named as England's new white ball captain. The wicketkeeper, aged 31, replaces World Cup winning captain Eoin Morgan, who retired from international cricket this week after injury and from struggles. Buttler was Morgan's vice-captain and has led England in 9 one-day internationals and 5 T20s, when the latter was unavailable. Buttler's first assignment as captain will come against India, with 3 T20s and 3 ODIs from 7th July. England are set to name their squad today. And that was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lanka Business Alliance says that they have brought their grievances to the government on many occasions, but with no avail. They said if the government keeps on cold shouldering the SME sector, they will collectively halt paying bank rentals and leasing installments from July 14, 2022. Vice President of the Alliance, Susantha Liyanarachi, said their total debt to banks is around 500 million rupees and further 150 million rupees is due from them to the leasing sector. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
In economic news, Sri Lanka's headline inflation, as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index, soared to 54.6% in June from 39.1% in May this year, the Department of Census and Statistics said on Thursday. This increase in year-on-year inflation is driven by the monthly increase of both food and non-food categories. Food inflation year-on-year increased to 80.1% in June from 57.4% in May, while non-food inflation year-on-year increased to 42.4% in June from 30.6% in May. And that was economic news. The weather report is next.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
And finally, moving on to the weather report. The Met Department says due to the active southwest monsoon condition, the prevailing windy condition is expected to enhance in the western and southern seas and in the southern half of the island further. Showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thundershowers may occur at few places in the over, eastern and north central provinces during the afternoon or night. Very strong winds, about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the central hills, western and southern provinces. And that concludes the weather report. Back to the headlines. The US ambassador reaffirms commitment to Sri Lanka in finding a solution to the economic crisis. The Lanka IOC is to distribute fuel today. Litrogas reveals it has procured LP gas sufficient to supply the country's gas requirement for the next 4 months. The bus fares will be increased by 22% with effect from today. Flights from Palali Airport commences today. The People's Bank celebrates its 61st anniversary today. In foreign news, China's presidency arrives in Hong Kong for handover anniversary. In sports cricket, Sri Lanka and India's women's teams will play their first ODI of the 3-match series today in Pallekele. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.